Is the Toronto Blue Jays front office playing 4D chess right now? Or are they just throwing darts at a board and hoping something sticks? Because, honestly, the flurry of moves coming out of Rogers Center lately has everyone scratching their heads trying to figure out what the master plan actually is. Let's set the scene here. The Blue Jays have already added Dylan Cease, Cody Ponce, Tyler Rogers, Jorge Alcala, Chase Lee, Nick Enright, and Josh Winkowski to their pitching staff this offseason. That's 7 arms. 7. And now, they've quietly slipped in the signing of 27-year-old lefty reliever Brendan Cellucci, a former Boston Red Sox farmhand who spent last season bouncing between AA, AAA, and the Independent Atlantic League. Oh, and to make things even more interesting, Ken Rosenthal just dropped a bomb that Toronto is still sniffing around Framber Valdez on the free agent market. So, what exactly is going on here? Are the Blue Jays building the deepest pitching staff in baseball, or are they setting up some major trade dominoes that are about to fall? Because right now, their rotation is more crowded than a Toronto subway car during rush hour, and something's got to give. The Saluchi signing is fascinating for multiple reasons, and it tells us a lot about how the Blue Jays are approaching roster construction this year. This isn't some big-name splash that gets announced with a press conference and social media fanfare. According to the team's transaction log, they signed him on January 19th, 2 days before they announced their international free agency signings. They literally buried this move in the fine print, which suggests they see him as organizational depth rather than a guaranteed big league contributor. But here's where it gets interesting. Saluchi might actually be exactly what Toronto has been desperately searching for: a left-handed reliever who can miss bats in high-leverage situations. The Blue Jays bullpen has been notoriously right-handed heavy, and finding a southpaw who can get strikeouts has been like searching for a unicorn. Saluchi, despite his struggles in the upper minors last year, absolutely dominated in the Atlantic League with the York Revolution, posting a 1.96 ERA with 9 saves and 32 strikeouts in just 18.1 innings. That's a strikeout per inning, folks, and his 0.82 whip with a .133 batting average against shows he was absolutely untouchable when he was on. Now, before we crown him the next great Blue Jays reliever, let's talk about the elephant in the room. His control issues are absolutely terrifying. Saluchi walked 23 batters in just 18 minor league appearances last season. That's more than 1 walk per game. And for a reliever, that's the kind of number that gets you sent back to extended spring training faster than you can say bases loaded, nobody out. Scouting reports on him are brutally honest. His fastball sits 91 to 93 miles per hour and can touch 95, and when he's locked in, it jumps on hitters and generates whiffs. But his command and control are well below average, and he has games where he simply cannot find the strike zone with any of his pitches, including his sweeper and slider. This is the definition of a high-risk, high-reward signing. The Blue Jays are betting that their pitching development staff, which has done wonders with reclamation projects in recent years, can harness Saluchi's electric strikeout stuff while cleaning up his command issues. Across his minor league career, he boasts an eye-popping 12.16 K/9 rate with 350 strikeouts in 259 innings over 179 games. That's the kind of swing and miss ability that every team in baseball is hunting for in today's game. But the Saluchi signing is just one piece of a much larger puzzle that the Blue Jays are trying to solve, and this is where things get really complicated. Because while they're adding depth arms like Saluchi, they're also reportedly still in the mix for Framber Valdez, one of the best left-handed starters still available on the free agent market. And that raises the obvious question: why would a team that already has 6 legitimate starting pitchers battling for rotation spots need to add a 7th? Let's break down Toronto's current rotation situation, because it's absolutely packed. Kevin Gausman is your ace. He's locked in as the opening day starter and the veteran leader of the staff. Shane Bieber, when healthy, is a former Cy Young Award winner who can dominate any lineup in baseball. Dylan Cease was the big splash acquisition, a power arm who can strike out double-digit batters on any given night. Jose Berrios has been the innings-eating workhorse for years. Cody Ponce showed flashes of brilliance last season. And then there's Trey Yesavage, the young prospect who's knocking on the door and ready to prove he belongs in the big leagues. That's 6 pitchers for 5 rotation spots, and we haven't even mentioned that Chris Bassett is still a free agent and could potentially return. So, where does Framber Valdez fit into this equation? The answer, according to multiple industry sources, is that he probably doesn't, at least not if the current roster stays intact. This is where the Jose Berrios trade rumors start making a whole lot more sense. Earlier this month, MLB.com's Mark Bowman floated the idea that Berrios could be a wild card trade option for the Atlanta Braves, who are still desperately searching for rotation, help after watching the New York Mets swoop in and land Freddie Peralta. The proposed trade would send Berrios and his 3 years, $54 million remaining on his contract to Atlanta in exchange for 3-time All-Star second baseman Ozzie Albies and shortstop prospect Alex Lodeyes. Now, let's be real about what that trade would mean for both teams. For the Braves, Berrios is exactly what they need, a certified innings eater who can take the ball every 5th day and give you 32 starts and 165 to 170 innings without fail. He's done that 5 times since 2019, which is remarkable consistency in today's game where pitchers are constantly breaking down. His 4.17 ERA last season isn't going to win any Cy Young votes, but paired with Spencer Schwellenbach and Chris Sale at the top of Atlanta's rotation, Berrios would be a rock-solid number 3 starter who can eat innings and keep you in games. For the Blue Jays, though, this trade would be about addressing their biggest weakness, middle infield depth and offensive production. Ozzie Albies is playing under a club option worth just $7 million for 2026, which is an absolute steal for a player of his caliber. Yes, he's coming off 2 down seasons at the plate, but he's still just 28 years old and has shown he can be a 20 home run, 100 RBI type of player when he's right. Adding him would give Toronto a proven veteran bat in the middle of their lineup and allow them to shift other pieces around to create better roster balance. But here's where the chess match gets really interesting. If the Blue Jays trade Berrios to Atlanta, that opens up a rotation spot for either Framber Valdez or for Trey Yesavage to step in and prove himself at the big league level. Valdez would be the safer, more proven option. He's been one of the most consistent left-handed starters in baseball over the past 4 seasons, averaging 190 innings per year, with an ERA consistently in the low 3.00s. He's a ground ball machine who induces weak contact and limits home runs, which would play beautifully in the hitter-friendly Rogers Center. The concern with Valdez, of course, is the price tag. He's reportedly seeking a deal in the $120 to $140 million range over 5 or 6 years, which would be a massive financial commitment for a Blue Jays organization that has already spent big this offseason. But if they're serious about competing in the loaded AL East, where the Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox have all improved significantly, then adding another frontline starter might be the move that pushes them over the top. There's also the Shane Bieber health situation to consider, which Ken Rosenthal alluded to in his recent comments. Bieber is coming off Tommy John surgery, and while all reports suggest his rehab is going well, there's always concern about setbacks with pitchers returning from major elbow reconstruction. If Bieber isn't ready for opening day or suffers any kind of complication, suddenly that crowded rotation doesn't look so crowded anymore, and having Valdez as insurance makes a lot more sense. So where does all of this leave us as we barrel towards spring training? The Toronto Blue Jays are clearly operating with multiple contingency plans, and they're not afraid to make bold moves to improve their roster. The Saluchi signing shows they're still hunting for bullpen depth and left-handed relief options. The continued interest in Framber Valdez suggests they're not satisfied with their current rotation, despite having 6 viable starters. And the Berrios trade rumors indicate they're willing to move established veterans if it means addressing weaknesses elsewhere on the roster. This is the kind of aggressive roster management that Blue Jays fans have been begging for over the past few years. After watching the team miss the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion multiple times, The front office is finally showing the urgency and creativity needed to build a legitimate World Series contender. They're not just sitting back and hoping their current roster is good enough. They're actively exploring every avenue to get better, whether that's through under-the-radar signings like Saluchi, blockbuster free agent additions like Valdez, or strategic trades like the proposed Berrios-for-Ozzie swap. The next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial for Toronto's championship aspirations. If they can pull off the Berrios trade and land Valdez, suddenly they've upgraded both their rotation and their lineup in one fell swoop. If they keep Berrios and roll with their current six-man rotation competition, they'll have incredible depth and flexibility throughout the season. And if Saluchi can harness his strikeout stuff and fix his command issues, they might have found a diamond in the rough who becomes a key bullpen piece down the stretch. But here's the reality check that Blue Jays fans need to hear. None of this matters if they can't stay healthy and execute when it counts. This team has had the talent to compete in recent years, but injuries, inconsistency, and bad luck have derailed their playoff hopes time and time again. Adding more pitchers is great, but at some point, the guys on the field need to perform when the lights are brightest. The AL East is an absolute gauntlet right now. The Yankees just added multiple impact players. The Orioles have one of the best young cores in baseball. The Red Sox are spending money and building a contender. The Rays, as always, will find a way to compete despite having a fraction of everyone else's payroll. If the Blue Jays want to break through and finally win their first playoff series since 2016, they can't afford to waste this window. So here's what I need to know from all of you. Do you think the Blue Jays should trade Jose Berrios-for-Ozzie Albies and go all in on signing Framber Valdez? Or should they keep their rotation depth and roll with what they have? And what about Brendan Cellucci? Do you believe he can fix his control issues and become a legitimate high-leverage reliever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're excited about the Blue Jays' aggressive approach this offseason. And let's have a real conversation about whether this team is finally ready to take the next step and compete for a championship.